motherfucker in. You know how this all starts out. We're going to do this with a shot. But today we have a guest. Last week you heard Jennifer Jefferson, who was with Focus, and now we have her husband, who also does some work with Focus, and we'll get into all that here in a little bit. But first we're going to take this shot. What do you think about that?
Sounds good to me.
Have you ever had Screwball?
Have you ever had Screwball?
I have.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're hoping to get sponsored by them one day.
Skull.
Well, make some calls. Get sponsored by them. Things don't just happen.
I know, but I don't think our following's large enough yet, you know?
Yeah.
I just basically say it every episode at the beginning, so that way if they do to listen to it one day, they'll be like, wow, you have been advertising us, and you know what? Here's a case of Screwball.
Well, talking about that, that is very smooth and delicious.
It is delicious. It's like
Sponsor
a peanut
us.
butter creamy treat in your mouth. That's what
I
it
like
is.
it with a little bit of shampoo.
Yeah, see, your wife brought some of that over here. We just haven't tried it yet. I refused to do it on the podcast because I want to keep it just to Screwball. So I was like, I didn't want to throw in that in there.
We might be able to convince them, if they sponsor you enough, to make a peanut butter and jelly.
I've heard if you put grape juice in there that it's
Well,
good.
that is a peanut butter jelly.
Well, I know, but then Screwball specifically making it just to promote Todd.
Yeah, like, here's
Yeah,
your
you
peanut
know?
butter and jelly sandwich.
Well, it already promotes Todd. Screwball.
Yeah, I am a Screwball.
Well, yeah, I agree. Okay, well, let's hear some stuff on you.
Yeah, so we got Brian Jefferson with us, and this guy is an amazing entrepreneur. I'm going to let him run into kind of what he does and what he has done. This man is like a low-class CEO, and when I say low-class, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean the way he dresses, talks, and acts. You would never believe that this man has ran so many companies. So I'm going to leave this to you and let you go ahead with
Well, I don't even know how to start from there.
No, you're good, man.
So, you know, I just lived my life. Started young. Probably about 11. My dad bought me my first set of business cards. I wanted a personal computer. He refused to buy it. Said if I wanted something to rot my brain, I could go earn the money and buy it myself.
What did your business card say?
Jefferson Landscaping.
Okay, so you started off landscaping.
I think every kid should.
No.
So, you know, it teaches a kid. I tell my daughter's boyfriends all the time, you can go work for $10 an hour, pay taxes on it, or go mow lawns and mow freaking 4 of them in an hour and make $100 cash.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, how old are your daughters? We heard this from Jennifer, I believe, but
I didn't realize
So
she had
this
more
is-
than one.
This is where I
he's
get
the only
trouble.
guy in the house. Only guy in the
Oh,
house.
So
fun.
5 girls. So I got
5 girls. She did not mention
24.
this.
I got 24. I got 20, 16, 13, and 11.
I hope you're correct because your wife is
I
probably
know.
listening
That's
to
Oh,
why-
this.
she's gonna
Yeah,
listen to
yeah,
this, you know. But my question is, I hope you're not telling the 24-year-olds to go mow lawns for $10 an hour.
Hey, you know, some people make their life of landscaping these days.
You know what? It's funny you say that. Because when I was in the Marine Corps, you know how much we got paid, right?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He is a veteran as well.
So you know how much we got paid. So we had a problem on the base, and this is where that little thing of buying business cards when you're a kid, which by the way, I earned enough money to buy my own personal computer,
Yeah.
right? At 11 in 2 weeks.
Okay, I gotta ask.
Lawns and doing landscape.
I'm curious. How big was the personal computer and how much did it cost?
There's a Commodore VIC-20.
Oh, I thought he was gonna say like Apple green screen.
No, a Commodore VIC-20. So I had to buy the little freaking black and white TV that went with it.
Okay.
So I think the computer itself was about, if I'm guessing now.
Was this floppy
$214
disk
bucks.
era still?
Oh no, this was cassette tape era.
Oh, I don't
This is
remember
where
cassette tape
Memorex-
computers.
It's better than just sound. Do you remember like?
No, this
Wait.
is,
Oh
Yeah.
man, they used to
I'm
have
a
the Memorex
90s
commercial with the guy with the guitar.
I'm a 90s kid.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like a dude, I'm getting a Dell guy.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
first program I learned and memorized was Pac-Man. Oh, not Pac-Man. Space Invaders.
Oh,
Hey,
Pac-Man wasn't even out yet.
that's a great game though.
Yeah, dude, Space Invader is like, yeah, iconic.
Great game. So let's get past the landscaping part here, and then so tell us. So your first business was probably what, landscaping?
So at 11,
At
and then
11.
when I joined the Marine Corps,
Which
Yeah.
was at
and so I joined the Marine Corps at 19. I programmed payphones, sold payphones as a subcontractor to 7-Elevens in California, private payphones. I actually sold them through Amway, so I was one of the larger directors in the California area. Decided to join the Marine Corps, didn't like it.
didn't like it after how many years?
Oh, I did that for about a year.
Oh,
That's good money. Like, you're out of high school, wondering what to do.
okay, that's fair.
They had 1-year contracts then?
Oh no! It's like a subcontractor. So I go sell a payphone to a.
I thought you were talking about a 1-year contract in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No.
Yeah, you were
so
like 1 year with Marine. I was like,
no, I 6.5 years there.
Okay.
Oh.
So as a sergeant, I realized they started busting people for bouncing checks.
Yeah.
Marines.
Mm-hmm.
And people had kids and families, and it didn't make sense to me. So they don't have enough money to support their family. So in government logic, what do? They take more away, right?
Right.
Exactly. That's the best option.
Yeah.
Hey, you bounced the check, so we're going to fine you even more. We're going to take away more of your pay.
So I had a relationship at one of the 7th largest builder in the United States, and knew that they used immigrant workers to come in and do their landscaping. Went to them and said, hey, how would you let Marines who are struggling to feed their families do it? We'd have to do it on the weekends. We'll get it done. So they signed a contract to do something 200 lawns a weekend.
Dang.
See, ladies and gentlemen, this is a man who finds a problem and solves it. And not only does he solve it, he makes money doing it.
So how many Marines?
So, I'll get there. But I didn't have any money to buy equipment, man. I'm on a sergeant's salary living in the barracks. So I went to Sears, asked Sears, told them about the problem, told them about the contract I had. So they donated the equipment.
Really?
Then I went to base command and said, hey, before you bust these guys, send them out to work with me on the weekends. I'll pay them freaking $15 to $20 an hour cash, depending on how good they are, right? It's one or the other. And so we went out and I dropped them off and we mowed 200 lawns in 2 days. So myself, I profited, because I did put in the effort, my idea. So as a sergeant in the Marine Corps, I was making about $160,000 a year.
Damn, how did you get your foot in the door with some of these companies like Sears and stuff like that? Did you just find like a business manager, or did you have to go to corporate? Like, how did that work for you?
You just ask.
I know, but what level? Like
store manager? I started with the guy in the section, got to the store manager.
And worked your way up.
Could make that, right? They had returns and all those things. And so what people don't do is they don't ask the question.
Okay, then.
Right? They want to solve the problem. They want an answer to it. But 9 times out of 10, it's just asking the question.
Right.
That's
that
crazy.
Makes sense.
I feel like you couldn't do that really.
I know. I feel like I would walk into Sears and be like, hey, I want to have this business. And they'd go, some kid behind the counter would be like, okay, yeah, I'll let people know. And I would never hear back.
And most people, 90% of people stop right there.
Right.
But it's the next call. It's the next call. It's the next call. Right. And eventually you get that one person who says, man, we can help you out here.
Yeah.
Really?
But people don't want to push past that first thing.
So it's being persistent and getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have an inherent knack. I tell my girls all the time, right? I only have one level of embarrassment. So once I'm there,
right,
I'm already there. So
I'm the same way. Like my level, I have no shame.
Yeah. And to me, that's what being an entrepreneur is, right? People go into it for different things.
I'm not afraid to beg if I need to.
No, ask for money. Man, that's a fact of life.
I've heard that's how rich people stay rich, is they use other people's money.
I feel like that's some, for sure.
So, yes and no. So, rich people know how to capitalize on other people's money.
Right.
And other people want to benefit off what rich people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So, if Elon, you don't think he spent all of his money starting Tesla.
Oh, well, that's 100% sure. Yeah.
Right?
He had to go somewhere.
His dad was...
He has a controlling stake in it. He used other people's money. They got shares. They had the opportunity to profit just as much as he did, but he didn't risk his whole entire fortune on it. He did it again with Twitter.
So, fun fact, Kid Rock.
Yeah?
You guys know Kid Rock?
Oh, yes. Yeah, go to all his concerts.
Okay, so this guy, apparently his dad owned a bunch of car dealerships and wanted him to come in on it, and he was like, screw you, Dad, I'm going to make my own way. And he went and bought his own guitar doing the same thing. I don't know if it was landscaping or not, but started off the same way, making his own money, started a band, did his own thing, and ended up being a success.
Okay, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, being an entrepreneur, people do start for different reasons, right? Some of them is for security, some of it's for lifestyle. They want to go fishing 4 days a week. They want to play golf, right? Whatever. Mm-hmm. And some of them, have an idea. They believe it's going to make freaking a ton of money that they believe in, nobody else does. They want to prove them wrong.
So I have a question for you, Brian. How many businesses have you had and how many have you sold?
So I've had probably a total of 7.
Okay.
Maybe 8.
What about a controlling stake or a huge?
Oh, those were all controlling stakes.
Okay.
If not self-owned over the years. I've sold 3, not made a ton of money. Right?
Okay.
A couple have gone bankrupt.
Okay. Yeah, you went some.
Not everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I realized was there was a gap in knowledge that I had, that being an entrepreneur allowed me to step into a role that allowed me to fill that gap in knowledge. So I was able to take those skills in and out of the corporate world. And inside a corporate world, building a division or a new line of business is exactly the same as doing it as an entrepreneur, but you're doing it with somebody else's money. So same principles, same factors.
You're a venturist then.
So I've stepped in and out of the corporate world, all focused on technology, doing different things, but in the gaps, really filling the gaps of where technology was, transitioning into something new, or I hate the word paradigm, but a new paradigm, right? And owning that business or researching that technology, right? I did it owning a business.
So what advice would you give someone who's on the teetering brink of saying, fuck this job, I'm done with it, I want to start my own business. I would rather be my own boss. I have an idea. Should I go for it? What advice would you have for someone like that?
Be willing to have no friends. Have big balls.
What about time? Free time.
That's what I think that's where he's getting at with not having friends.
Well, time, weekends, right?
Yeah.
The issue with owning your own business is everybody will tell you you're wrong, right?
So go with your gut.
Every step of the way, everybody's going to tell you why it won't work, why you won't succeed, so-and-so does that, so-and-so does that, right? It's finding that niche you believe in so much that you're willing to work nights, weekends, days. Inside the corporate world, inside owning my own business, it's part of your life.
So basically, you got to be a worker. You have to want to love what you're doing.
You have to, and you got to be willing to stop at everything, right? When it calls.
So when people are like Christmas, and you're like, nope, I can't right now. I got to get this accounting done. I got to get paperwork done, payroll, everything else. You have to be willing to do.
I worked more owning my own business on Thanksgiving, holiday, Christmas breaks, New Year's, because that's when our customers were using our product of one of the businesses that they needed the support. So the willingness to give those up is there.
Yeah.
You have to have a family and a support structure that is 100% behind you. If they're not, you're fighting the outside world, you're fighting the inside world, and it begins to change your values. And I would encourage people, live their values. Don't change them. Know who you are. Know who you want to be. Know who you want to represent yourself as, because it'll change you.
And that is some of the best advice that I've ever heard, because I myself, I'm a take me or leave me type of guy. Like, if you don't like me, go away. If you like me, stick around. I'm one of those people, because I don't believe that I should change because you don't like the way that I am.
Yeah. And, one of our last businesses was very structured. We had a ton of fun. It was exactly what I wanted. It was exactly what I envisioned. The culture was where I wanted it to be. Our customer base was where I wanted it to be. We took one large contract that changed 50% of our business, grew at 50%, 100%, but it dynamically changed the way we did things. Our customer base, we lost control of choosing our customers, right? Somebody else was bringing us customers. Well, now all of a sudden my Republican talk on Facebook isn't popular with my customer base.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you gotta watch. You gotta watch the social media.
My values aren't the same, right? Because we had a customer base that would freely let us in their homes.
Yeah.
So it's
it worked because we were veterans and we're a veteran-owned business. So they didn't feel like they had to have people there because there was a trust factor. This new set of customers that was being brought to us, that wasn't there.
See, that brings up
scheduling. They're not home.
That brings up a whole new question, though. Like, if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, hang on, we'll get to that. Everybody's holding up
pours a screwball shot and then lets it Makes it get warm.
I want to get to this question. It's already warm. I want to get to this question. So does that, as an entrepreneur, should you shy away from social media as a personal basis of letting things out, or do you use it more for social networking and finding customers like that? Because from the way you just made it sound, like if I were to post something on Facebook, I might lose a customer because of the way that they think my values or what I'm saying is coming off.
So then as opposed to now, because once you have the revenue...
Now let's take the shot. No, I'm kidding.
Once you have the revenue coming in, right, you're giving up something by losing it, right? So I allowed it to shift rather than hold it. So social media is a necessary. It is today's world. Well, right?
Here's
but
what I have to
social media will never have a view and it'll never be toned down.
Think before you hit send, people. That's all I have to say.
Oh, absolutely.
Do not, if you know you're one of those people that are on social media once you drink, put your fucking phone in a lockbox and forget the code when you're going drinking.
Oh gosh.
Or if that's your MO, right? That's what people see you as. That's how you represent yourself. Don't.
Right. If that's who you want to be, that's fine. But if you're saying some gnarly, nasty shit,
you're a dick all the time. So
I am a dick. You know what, Brian? I am not a dick. I'm a pretty good guy.
I second that motion.
All right, to the shot.
Screwball,
because I'm a dick. And you know what, Kyle? I think you're fired as my friend now.
Oh, no, you can't fire me as your friend, because I'll be your friend even if you're not mine.
Well, you just called me a dick, and most of my friends do.
Hey, so. I'll say your best friends do.
Yeah.
It took me to...
Even Jake.
It took me until about 45 to realize the more I lived my values, the happier I was.
Right.
And if I lived them at home and I lived them at work, if I lived them in my business, if I lost because of my values, did I really lose?
No.
And this is where focus, I believe, comes into play.
Absolutely.
And focus, we'll talk a little bit more about your entrepreneurship, but I want to jump into this because it reminds me of it. Focus doesn't ask you to change who you are. It asks you to live who you want to be. And for a while when I got out of the Marine Corps, I didn't really do that. I wasn't living who I wanted to be. I was trying to make other people happy with my thoughts and my expressions and the way I was acting. And, you know, I was always trying to do what I thought other people wanted me to do. And I was so unhappy it wasn't funny. But now I'm like I said, take it or leave it. This is who I'm going to be. This is who I want to be. And that's the way everyone should live. Because no one should curl or cringe at the thought of having to act a certain way to please somebody else.
Right. Now, some people will hear that and say, screw all you guys are giving me advice. It doesn't mean we can't learn and grow.
No, there's no advice given. I'm saying what works for me.
But I hear that. I hear people take that same message you just gave, and you're absolutely correct. But there's always room for us to grow.
There is.
And so we have to be willing to take that advice.
Right.
Yeah, and I think I talk about it more from a values perspective. You know who you are. You know who you're going to support. You know what you believe.
And here's something that I also learned from...
Don't give it up.
Here's something I learned from AA. Take what you want and leave the rest in a fucking behind you. You know, if anyone tries to give you advice, take what you want from it and leave the rest. You don't have to get angry because someone's trying to give you constructive criticism. You take what you want from it, say, okay, I'm listening to what you're saying. You can either say, fuck all that, or you can say, okay, I can see some of it and leave a little bit behind. You don't have to take it all and change who you are because they're telling you to. You can grow as a person and as an individual as you see yourself. Be conscious of your actions. That's basically how to become a better person.
But if you respect somebody, stop and listen to their advice they're giving you. Whether you put it in that, hey, that's good to know, right? Or, man, that's something I need to work on. But active listen to, right? And self-evaluate and reflect.
Oh, always.
Right?
Always.
But that's something we've lost as a culture,
too.
for
sure.
Right? Whenever you ever heard anybody who lost their job, it's their fault.
Well, this all leads back to social media. It's like everyone can get their moment of fame by being an asshole on social media.
I would say, actually, that happened to me the other day, and I totally said it was my fault.
He did, actually. He owned up to it. I was like, how's the job?
But that's such a small percentage, right?
I straight up, I was like, hey, I got laid off. And I was like, what they wanted from me, I wasn't able to give because I wasn't as experienced as they needed. And so they let me go. And I don't hate them for it. I obviously know that I need to be better at that job to move forward.
But that's only, and I even find I have a number of people who roll up to me in the corporate world now. So,
well, like
I'm an executive of the large telecom.
Would you ever fucking see this guy as a look at his Skechers? This man has
orange.
He's got more Skechers than anyone I know.
Not Skechers, Converse.
Converse. I'm sorry. I messed that one up.
Man, Skechers are for old people.
I'm sorry. He's got more Converse than anyone I know. This is like the third set of Converse I've seen him in, and different colors.
I don't like Converse.
Oh,
I got flat feet. So
well, you know what Brian's saying right now? Fuck you. I don't care what you think.
If I want to wear jeans on shoes, I'd make jeans out of shoes. That's all right.
So let's get out of this series. Let's do a would you rather.
What he did in the Marines. Like, you didn't tell us your job at all.
Oh yeah, you went right past that.
Yeah, you were just like, oh yeah, I was in the Marines.
I was in the Marines for 1 year.
Yeah.
No,
so this is the stuff that gets me technically friggin' always in trouble, right? So
we like that.
Well, people always.
I love trouble.
Somehow I always end up in a numbers role.
Okay.
But so in the Marine Corps, I was actually joined to be a helicopter mechanic.
Awesome.
I was one of the few who didn't lie on my application about, the
What?
experimentation prior to, like, so I got DQ'd in boot camp out of that and ended up being a disperser. But
of marijuana?
No.
No.
So, our payroll, right? And so
Right.
I worked in the comptroller's office. In 6.5 years in the Marine Corps, I never cut a paycheck. I never worked in the payroll office. I did TAD. I volunteered for everything. So
okay.
I ended up actually writing the Marine Corps tracking system for the payroll.
Oh,
so
nice.
See, once again, the man is a genius. He just
Awesome.
finds a problem and solves it.
So
but it's a gray area, right? That's the entrepreneur thing. So here's another thing. People want to work their job description.
Mm-hmm.
A job description is a base minimum.
Yeah.
Right? Every place I've gone, every place I've worked, they've written a job description for me because of the work I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you find the problem and you start fixing and addressing the real problems, that's where value comes from and impact comes from. Whether you own your own business, whether you're inside, those are the things we need to focus on, those priorities. And when you start focusing on those, people start writing job descriptions and finding positions for you and saying, no, you will take this spot. We are moving you up.
Mm-hmm.
The role I'm in now.
I was going to say, because he told me this story and it made me laugh as he started talking to it. And I think he knows what I'm talking about. But he made up his own job descriptions at some jobs because he was doing everything. They were like, this is your job description. He was like, no, this is my job description now.
So the place I'm in now, we shut down our businesses. We liquidated them. We couldn't compete with Amazon. It's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Market does play a big role. My wife worked there, so we went to zero income.
Oh, wonderful.
And a whole lot of debt, as we're unpacking the businesses. I took a job with a place that recruited me for over 8 years. So quickly stepped on 1 week right into a senior director's role in a large corporation. 2 weeks later, I was busted down to manager because they reorged and laid off everybody who'd hired me.
Oh.
And they said, we don't know what we're going to have you do. We got some ideas around here. And I said, well, I'll go do this. Looks like you need some help here if you're losing this much money. They wrote the job description. I did that for a year. They was offered 2 more roles. Next, I took over their delivery for the Americas, promoted into that role. Back into where I was before they demoted me, almost. And then the next jump, I went and found a software platform for an organization that does billions in work and didn't have a platform to manage those projects. Found it, sold it to them, wrote the ROI for them, implemented it in 9 months, and deployed it. And now we're deploying it globally. It's the first software package they've deployed in 9 years. And everybody told me there's no way they'll approve this.
Mm-hmm.
So they promoted me again and created another role. And now I own 3 software packages and the rollout and development of those for globally. And
that's amazing.
not one was on any freaking job description I had.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that is motivation to do your own shit and figure out how to solve a problem and turn it into something. So we're going to go into another segment, which is called Would You Rather.
Ah, yes. Would you rather?
We're getting into the fun stuff now, Brian.
We're getting the fun stuff.
This is the only thing I'm good at, and I'm not good at it.
He's the card handle, and he's not even that good at it.
Yeah, exactly.
He mixed them up when Jen was here, and it really pissed me off. I was like, you can't just keep taking cards.
So you guys sort them out before we come.
No.
So
he wanted to.
Okay.
But
so he started complaining that they were too unequal. So I grabbed a couple and was making a little bit more equal selections. And then I gave him, and he's like, "These suck." And I'm like, "Well, they weren't good. They were just more equal.
They were deck, Kyle.
They were easier. They weren't."
You guys didn't give my awesome wife a hard time, did you?
You'll hear on the episode if you listen. We didn't give her too hard of a time.
Yeah, I say 2 weeks. I think is.
I mean, trust me, I still have to go to her with focus too. So.
Yeah. Okay, would you rather switch lives with the next person that asks you for spare change, or die while being burned at the stake after living a full life?
Die.
Okay.
Burn
I would
life.
rather switch places with the person asking me for change, because you never know, that guy could be driving a BMW.
He probably is. Let's be honest. Those people make.
So I tell my girls why I always give them money. Right? Because I believe you got to give to receive.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just part of my values. So, in order to instill it in my girls, I don't know which one's an angel. Send here to test me.
None of them are.
Or none of them are.
You know why? Because children are like little friends that just want money all the time. They're like, hey, give me this. And that's all they want is things out of you.
Oh.
That's why I'm glad my stepson, who is my son, is now 16. Man, you're 16 now. I gave you 6 months for insurance. Once that 6-month mark hits, if you don't have a job, that's your fault. You ain't driving. You ain't got no gas. You ain't got no car insurance. You fucked.
Right, well, you know what, though? But it's so tough for our kids now.
Are you kidding me?
Teach them.
Did you just say that coming from an entrepreneur who ran and worked his ass off? That it's so tough for our kids right now?
What? I felt like I was doing. I felt like we protected our kids growing up, right? From those things.
I drove around in the back of a Chevy truck with no camper shelter on it down the highway without a seatbelt.
But you know what's awesome? I'm watching my kids overachieve in every part of their life.
Yeah.
Right? Because a little pressure was taking off from them in certain areas.
Okay, but how much is...
So they've taken that effort, and I talk about this in Focus, right? We're like computers.
Mm-hmm.
And people have hated this saying for life, and I hate the way the saying goes. Behind every good man is a good woman.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's the truth, though.
Behind every successful person is somebody there supporting them.
That's true.
Yeah, I could understand. I like that better.
Yeah, I like
it takes the gender out of it, which is today's society.
But it isn't
politically correct.
PC.
So, I'll speak from the marriage side. It's never 50-50.
No, it's always
50-50 or smoking crack. I advanced in my career, in my knowledge, in my trade, because my wife took care of the kids. I never had to worry about we have groceries, if I'm going to have clothes. When I came home, the house was a mess, right? And not because she's a woman, because those are the roles we chose in the house.
Right. I could agree to that.
As our kids started leaving, we saw both of our careers, right? Because we have less focus on them, because there's only so many cycles and so many things and decisions you can make a day. If somebody's making those, a portion of them, it gives you aptitude and brain power to make different ones in direction.
But then sometimes in households you find the resentment where people make those choices, but then they start resenting you for it because they feel like they have to do it all the time.
And they didn't have a choice.
But that's where I think Focus is hold on. Okay. I think Focus is a program that not only veterans could succeed from. This program needs to be put out for civilians and mind people alike. This is a program that teaches you how to coincide and work together as one with anyone.
It wouldn't have the successfulness. I absolutely agree, because I've told my wife all the time.
Well, that's because
we
people
would
are
pay
assets.
for this in leadership courses and to send executives and directors to all the time. It's the same material.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same material we hear at those things. The difference is we walk in, we have we get the honor to walk into a room full of everybody started one point of their life from the same baseline.
Okay.
Because what the Marine Corps did
Is
in one phase
wipe you out and build you up.
from the same baseline, same values, same teaching, and then sent you on your way.
So it's like
Now they didn't tell us how to transition and all that crap.
So it's like
So now we're in there teaching people how to transition, but because we all started from the same base,
right.
so we all speak the same fucking language.
So it's like teaching fucking something to a room full of people that you kept in a year that red is red, and then another group in a room where you showed them red but told them it was green.
Right.
It's going to be hard to explain to that room that red is red because they're like, no, that's not red. They wouldn't understand.
Then you go on to life. There's Christians, there's Muslims, there's whatever, but everybody's baseline.
Everybody understands Marine.
But the Marine Corps gave us all, those 1%ers, the same freaking baseline to communicate by.
Now, don't take this, any veterans that are listening. Because,
I'm taking this personally.
Yeah, he was in the Air Force. But the Focus Marines does take Army, veteran, and Air Force guys as well.
You said
because
10%?
Regardless if you were a Marine or not, we all come from a baseline of discipline, honor, courage, and
commitment.
I want to say commitment, but you know the Army. But we all come from from an era of being told and shown. I think that anyone at 18 after high school should have to do 2 years in the military.
There'd be too many.
No. There wouldn't be too many because you know what? It would drive up the actual amount of people you need in the military forces to train these people. You know how many guys we have lost in the war fighting era that said, fuck it, I'm done with it? Like, you know how many war fighters are actually still left in the military? Probably not as many between 2000 and, we'll say, 5 to 2013. After about that time, guys started getting out. They said, fuck this, I'm done with this. I'm done with this war.
It's hard to send people to combat when you know somebody's experienced something, right? And here's one of our challenges.
So if your leader has experienced it.
World War I, everybody knew a veteran.
Yeah.
World War II, 1 in 3, right? By Afghanistan and Iraq, 1 in 8 knew a veteran. A veteran, not a combat veteran.
Yeah.
A veteran. Every day, that number gets less and less.
Oh, I agree. So I want to say that I actually agree with you about the mandatory service. I really do. I just don't know if it's actually possible, in my opinion.
No, I don't think it should be mandatory, but young kids nowadays need that structure and that discipline.
100%.
Because I was a fucking asshole when I was in high school.
Still are.
I was to cops, to people that I should be respecting. Like, I had no respect for anything or anyone. I thought I knew it, and I thought I was the shittest. I thought I was the person that could run the fucking world till I joined the military. I didn't even know about culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to tell you a funny story. Here's what the Marine Corps did. Graduating high school, I wouldn't talk to anybody. I could sit in a room and not talk to anybody. My family I talk to all the time. I'd rather punch you than talk to you.
Same way.
Completely introverted, right? Extroverted by energy building, but introverted by, or shy, whatever you want to call it, right? From speaking to people or speaking in public. I joined the Marine Corps, quickly realized the louder I was, the less they picked on me in boot camp. Got to the fleet, the guys who could speak, right? And were loud and boisterous and expressed their opinion were getting promoted. I was in a field where you wouldn't make sergeant in 6 years. I made it 3.5.
Wow.
Because I went to night school to learn impromptu speaking, to get out of my shell, because I wouldn't have been a speaker or achieved the things in my life without that one thing that the Marine Corps taught me very early in the days.
Being able to express your opinions without coming across as a pompous asshole.
Oh, I am, though.
Well, I am too.
Yeah.
But being able to do that to someone that you've just met, to be able to be yourself and be who you are without coming across as someone who seems arrogant and snide, is a very hard skill to learn. Because I can be a pompous asshole, but you wouldn't think that I'm being a pompous asshole because of the way I come across with you. Like, say I met someone on the street and I was like joking around with them like Marines do, you know, we're all got that dirty mind and the way we joke. Most people take that the wrong way. But if you can spin it and get them to laugh at you too, people like that, you've got yourself a skill of being charismatic and being able to talk with people. And I'm not going to say his name, but there was a very large banker that worked with Tunnels to Towers and Gary Sinise Foundation. And this guy, the first time I met him, I was just being me. And I was like, I said something to him and he goes, you know what? I love you because people are afraid to talk to me like that. Like they're afraid to joke around and have a good time with me because of his structure in society, his
status.
See, my brain is going blank.
Yeah, no, you're good.
But people like that want to mess around too, but no one does it with them because they're afraid that something might happen.
Well, you guys asked something at the beginning, like, who do you ask? Like, you know what? I don't care who you are. If you're a CEO of a company, a CFO, you put on the pants the same way. If I got a question, wait.
I don't, Brian.
Yeah, I was the same.
No. Sorry about that, Todd. But they.
Wait. So you don't put in one leg at a time?
I don't even put on pants. I put on gym shorts.
Okay.
So, but people are afraid to ask the questions because they treat people differently.
Yeah.
Depending on where they sit, and I think that those were things the Marine Corps like knocked out of me someplace.
That's because if you're a PFC, you're a PFC with all the other PFCs.
Right.
It doesn't matter what. If you're a Lance Corporal, you're a Lance Corporal with all the other Lance Corporals. There's no favoritism.
But I can't tell you the amount of times I've been told how intimidating I am, right? How condescending I am, how arrogant I am. What I had to do, and people who know me, was I had to grow my servant leadership style. One, it is my nature, so it was easy to do because it stopped people from turning it off and listening, right? They began following, so starting to collaborate to build teams as opposed to drive them, and building that skill set, because what the Marines taught us, absolutely, don't fail, keep going, right? Push through it, but that's intimidating to people.
But that's to be
So
a
you have
team.
to figure out how to connect to people, and then they'll start following. And then when I step into one of those other leadership styles, they know it, and there's a reaction.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you have to be consistent. You have to be. Just like raising a child when you're a leader. You have to be consistent.
We don't all get another screwball?
Well, he's working on it, Brian. Give him
Hey, you
a
know, I
chance.
only have one or two hands. One's got to hold the cup.
I have
one's gotta
0,
hold.
Kyle.
I'm sorry for your. I don't know. For you.
Anyway, like with leadership, there's a thin line between being a friend and being a leader. And you have to know that. But you have to be both.
Yes.
Because as a leader, it's not, I'm in charge and it's do as I say. It's do as I do and I'm going to.
Then you better know it better than they do.
Oh, yeah. You better know.
If you're asking
You
them
better
to
know
do it-
2 jobs ahead of you is what we learned in the Marine Corps. If you're a corporal, you better know a goddamn gunny's fucking rule. Because you never know what's going to happen.
Cool.
And that's just the way it is. Like when I was a leader, people would say I hazed my guys, but I think that's bullshit because I was doing it with them. I just knew my strengths and what was going to kill them, so that's what I used against them. You know, I had one kid tell me he wanted to stab me when I got to Afghanistan, and he was like, "Now I see why you did what you did." And I said, "Yeah, because I'm not here to coddle you. I'm here to train you to get out of Afghanistan."
We were preparing them for something different than today.
Oh yeah. Cheers.
Screwball, score.
Well, damn, we're hitting the 38 mark. I think this is one of our longest episodes.
You know, you said that last time,
I
but
can talk.
Oh yeah, we
can
all
continue
can talk.
talking. They had a couple weeks
Well,
hiatus.
you did actually give them an episode where we said we were going to make one longer, and we didn't do it
Okay, well then this could
because I
be it.
listened to it.
How is the viewership?
It's
Viewership.
We're not sure
Listenership.
because you can't really regulate all the platforms that people listen to.
We're looking
I
at.
gotta teach you guys some tricks.
Okay, we
Yeah.
would love any advice, any
All
tricks,
advice.
all tricks, all advice, anything you are willing to part on us, a younger generation.
It's actually not things I can impart, but people I know.
Hey, networking's
all-
too.
I love people you know.
Yep. Oh, by the way, Screwball was delicious. It's great and smooth.
Yeah, that's the 3rd time that we've done that.
Yeah, today.
We're gonna go. Well, what's your record?
Screwball shots?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I told
3.
people, I gave
3?
people my Instagram and all that stuff and told them, hey, Every time you type in the word shot, Screwball will take them, but no one does it.
Actually, I don't think you've ever said that.
Well, I don't have.
Yeah, we did, because remember you're like, we'll have to put a limit
like
on
monitoring it though. Like
that's because right now we're not live. I'm talking about like, because if we go live, I need the equipment for it, and I'm not there yet. I don't have a fan base. I don't have that.
You also don't have the actual physical equipment.
I never told anybody we were going to be on right now. It's
hey,
a work
veterans,
in progress.
Go spread the word. Come on.
It's a work in progress.
Give him
Brian.
a hand. He needs 2 of them.
Like you said, you got to start somewhere, and we're starting from the bottom up, man. Yeah. Like when we first started doing this, what were we using? Like a headset?
We were using my mic.
Yeah,
I was
borrowing his mic,
and then he fired me for it. So I told him I'm not bringing it again.
So the funnest business I ever ran, we started in my garage. I talked my way into a trade
like
show
Silicon Valley,
to buy stuff as a discount.
Okay,
that was it. We invented a company. I talked to my VP friends. We went in there like, you're the CFO, you're the chief operating officer, you're our delivery manager.
Kyle's everything except for me.
We partied our butt off all weekend. I picked the equipment I wanted in my house. I won't tell you that brand because I don't like them anymore.
Okay.
No, right? Dash them. Beat them up on this.
No. So.
Don't want to make enemies yet.
Not yet. I bought it for a third of the cost. People were willing to sell it for me. Installed it myself, blogged about it, and built a $10 million business off of it.
How did you get it for a third of the cost? Did you just call them up and be like, hey, I want to buy it at a third of the cost? Or did
I got a fake company.
He went into Sears.
I got a fake company. They thought we had structure. They made me a dealer. I'm buying it at wholesale rates with volume discounts now.
And now we're getting to an economy, people. You need a class on economy in order to understand what this guy's talking about.
It's sort of like the story about the British sniper rifle, how the guys submitted it and it got put in, and then they came in to look at their workshop, and they were just 3 guys in a shed. And so they rented out an entire like warehouse, and they put all their parts that they had, and the guys came in, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is formality. We're just trying to make sure that you're not just like a couple guys in a shed." And they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we're not, dude. Everybody just went out to lunch. Let's go out to lunch." And they bluffed their way into becoming the wholesaler for this sniper rifle to the British military, even though there were 3 guys in a shed.
Dude, almost every story's like that, right? People, there's not those companies that go get a massive amount of funding and go huge, like Twitter and freaking Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, they're less than 1%.
You gotta start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere. It's the guy who likes fishing and found freaking great fishing spots, who all of a sudden posts on Facebook, "Hey, I'll take you out fishing, right? Clean your gear, clean your fish, pack your gear," and all of a sudden a business guy like me goes, "Man, I got 2 hours today, let me call him.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, pick up some beer, meet me out there." And all of a sudden he made freaking $150 doing what he already does.
Yeah. What he wants to be doing anyway.
Correct. And now, he didn't realize it, he's a freaking entrepreneur.
This is inspiring. It makes me want to go hustle
money
people.
Is the best money. So
that's what I'm saying. I want to go hustle someone right now.
No, but hustle money, right?
Like white men can't jump. I'm going to pretend to be bad at basketball.
So this summer, I'm trying to talk my girls into, right? We're going to give it a couple shots. We're going to buy a couple of freaking...
Don't give them Screwball shots.
No,
Some of them are too young.
Shots.
Some of them are too young.
You know, in my house, my rules.
But we don't condone that.
I've registered an LLC, registered to go for my friggin' resale license.
Okay.
We're going to buy a couple return pallets from Amazon, clean them up, liquidate them.
How do you do that?
See? It's...
Return what?
Return pallets. So they return them, but they can't give them back to the owners. So they just keep them on a pallet, and you can buy them.
Like this box is electronics, this box is kitchen.
Buy them, fix them, and redistribute.
Sort of like how the police will, pull over a guy,
impound a car, and then turn around and sell it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, some of the richest guy I know. You know what he sells?
What?
Fucking feathers.
I thought he was going to say tampons.
Wait, how do you sell feathers? Like for pillows?
So he started collecting feathers, feather nut, right? Then started selling them in places like Vegas. Then started are you talking about premier feathers?
Big cockatoo, any kind of feathers?
Now they got 7 private jets that they all fly all over the world and go out and collect feathers with these safari people, Bring them back, and they got warehouses of feathers. They sell feathers for goose down.
And you know what? They probably go, I got a bunch of ostrich feathers, and I'm going to sell them to you for $200 a pound.
It's a deal. That's 50% off. But
You know, there's a guy in St. Louis. You know
Just
what he
one?
makes his money on?
What?
Selling dirt.
You know, I believe that.
You know how he sells dirt? A 5-gallon bucket.
No way.
Know who he sells it to?
Who?
Major League Baseball.
Well, no fucking way.
You know what? I'm going to
5-gallon
start.
buckets.
I'm going to start selling tampons.
Used or not used?
Someone's always going to have one of those.
Yeah.
But that's the funny thing. Hustle money turns into real money because most people live and work. So when you're getting a paycheck, you budgeted your paycheck, right? Probably every freaking dollar was budgeted to bills, groceries, with a little bit of entertainment money, right?
Yeah, of course.
You know, vacation money, like. But
Sure,
you
yeah.
You can go out and get a side job. Where does that go?
Wait. Side job. This era and these kids nowadays wouldn't even know what a first job is, and you're already talking about a side job?
I'm going to have to stop you there. I actually disagree because
Good.
a lot of people that I know will have...
That you know as an adult, not children
No.
now.
No, younger
but
people
once
too.
they get to where they're paying bills, because really don't know who you are until you got to pay bills.
You don't know who you are until you're about
Right.
25.
But they're in a world where
I
you can
still
post
don't know.
online, I have this skill, and somebody will bid for them to do something. Right? They just got to be willing to do that.
I didn't find out who I was until I was like 34 when I went through Focus. That really opened up
Yeah.
my eyes and let me
You know,
who
I didn't know
was.
who you really were until you're about 32.
I didn't know who you really were until about freaking 6 months ago.
Yeah, no one does.
He's
You know?
still guessing.
I still don't, I'm 17 sometimes in my mind.
I still think it's like the early 2000s half the time.
I want it to be.
Shit, yeah.
I want it
So
to
I
be.
got to say, over the last 2 years, actually it's been probably 3 years, I've gotten to know Todd a little bit.
Oh, here
I'm
we go.
sorry to tell you that.
No.
What is your favorite Todd story?
He doesn't really have one.
I really don't have one.
Well, have you heard about a Todd story that you really enjoy?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about my experience with Todd.
Oh, that's fair.
There we go. That's
what we
fair.
want,
Todd
yeah.
experience.
Oh,
So,
I'd pay for that.
you know,
Someone has actually.
I know. What, have you taken them out yet? Have you?
No,
called-
I haven't.
You
but
really should
I'm supposed
contact
to.
them.
They're gonna get a hold of me.
No,
Dude.
I would try to get a hold
So
of them, man.
last year at the JCS Gala, I auctioned off one of my uniforms along with the Todd
oh
experience.
yeah.
And they've never called me to do it yet, so I've never gone out to dinner with these people. Well, the last JCS Gala that we just talked about, they were there again, and I was like, when are we gonna do this? So he's gonna be getting a hold of me, but we called it the Todd experience.
I'd have resold it. It had a year expiration on it.
Well, they had a whole nother uniform. They could have done it again.
I would say, did they do another auction? Because I was really
No, they
drunk.
didn't do they did the silent auction only this year. So.
This is the
Okay.
first time in years we've missed it. So
That's really because I got really drunk and had a really good time.
Yeah, and he stole a lot of center placards. No, I don't care.
So
Actually, he dropped a few of them, and some guy was helping him put them back together and put the batteries back in them. And I looked at Kyle, I was like, I don't think he realizes you're stealing these. I think he thinks you work here.
so I didn't really, I wanted to get something, but I was like, I don't really have the money right now to, donate.
So he stole centerpiece.
So I stole like 12 of them there in my car right now. Like I could go out there in my car right now.
We might have to give some of those back.
If Matt comes to me,
oh my gosh.
I
what
would.
is it when you like I've heard about the equipment shortage, I've heard about like not being able to make a
Hey, we're
donation.
hustling, man.
Hey, what's your Venmo? Tell these people what your Venmo is to make a donation.
No, I'm gonna just start a GoFundMe page. Fuck.
I don't know. We kind of want to. So our
Right.
slogan is "When does the fuckery end?" We kind of want to make like buttons and T-shirts with the fuckery, the
That's why-
FKRY.
That's why we
when
changed
does the fuckery
fuckery to
end?
FKRY
You know?
because you couldn't spell fuckery by itself by
So-
putting it on T-shirts.
So by next week,
By the time we get a bigger
By
fan
next
base, maybe an average of 200
We're working
listeners.
on
oh my gosh.
This
There's
is why we
no
brought you.
sign like friggin' pay $150
You need
for
capital.
that logo to get designed, right?
Yeah,
Hey, we can scrape together $150, right?
I got 100.
Let's
Okay.
say we bought a song.
And then
Yeah, we
you
bought
know
a song.
there's freaking sites online where you
Yeah.
can go upload your logo. They have all the merchandise.
Yeah, that's true.
See,
You
this is
send
why
out
I'm
a private
this
link.
guy.
With your freaking thing, right? They buy from them. They have licensed your logo, so they pay you a portion of that. Oh my God. Today's world, Dude, there's nothing.
There's a kid that wants a shirt that says, "When does the fuckery end?"
Dude, there's multiple kids that want that, but they don't know it yet.
Yeah, that's just like someone made thousands of dollars off of virginity rocks. Like, come on.
It's the next ringmaster of the shit show.
Well, I always wanted to make a bumper sticker that said "My car is my bar," but I didn't know how well that would go over with the police.
It would go over well because they would do wellness checks on all of them.
Yeah. So, Todd experience. Let's get to that.
Yeah.
And then after that, ladies and gentlemen, we might have to close this one down.
No.
We're running on 50
We
minutes.
are literally, this is the longest one. At 51 minutes, it will be the longest one.
Oh, I'm the best.
My mom was the longest one.
No. It was the one with your buddy that was supposed to join the Marine Corps with
Jimmy?
you. Yes.
We didn't go 51
Yes, we
minutes
did.
with Jimmy.
Yes, we did.
Oh, well.
Okay, folks, we got to talk about something interesting. Folks, I like to win.
Well, then do the Todd experience.
Okay.
There we go.
So I got to say, I met Todd at a SCAT thing. It was the first time I really met him outside of Focus.
And a what? Say it again.
A SCAT fundraiser.
Okay.
Poker.
Yeah, the poker game.
Okay, yeah, you have to explain it because nobody knows what you're saying.
Jokes set me off. Like, a little uncomfortable because Todd's good at that.
Can I ask, do you remember the first joke he told you? Or one of the jokes they told you?
It might have been like your wife's hot or something.
Yeah,
it
okay.
something like that. But
similar.
No, it was something about like, dude, you want me to cheers you or like,
I don't know. I make people uncomfortable, apparently.
But I gotta say,
You're a dick.
I've met a lot of combat veterans through Focus.
Okay.
A lot of them want to go into public speaking, want to do podcasts, right? Or looking for avenues, right, to self-promote.
Okay.
Talking to Todd, there's a joy this podcast brings him and something he thinks he can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's far beyond self-promotion.
Okay.
That's why I'm here, right? And I gotta say, there's been very few times I've seen somebody transition through the things Todd has.
Yeah.
into something of wanting to give back for the right reasons, right? Not wanting self-promotion, not wanting people promoting because of the incidents that happened to him, but because who he is, right? And that willingness to give back, right, is why I would sit here today, why I respect him.
And that's another thing I learned through Focus is don't let the issues in your life and the things that happen to you define you. Because just because I lost my arms and legs doesn't mean that I'm useless. It just means I lost my arms and legs. That's all it means.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I can't do anything less that someone else can do. And self-promotion's never been my thing. My thing is I believe that everyone in this world has someone to give something to someone. And that's why I talk a lot about suicide prevention and stuff at Focus. Because you never know who that one person that needs you is. You never know. You never know. What if you help one person in this world, you've changed the world.
Yes.
You have. If you can change one person or tell them your story and it changes the way they think or live because they're depressed, if you change one person, it's a chain effect. It could change the world. And that's how I believe.
You know, that's amazing. I'll drink to that. And
I
we
will
have
too.
officially made our longest podcast today.
And that will be the end.
I tell my teams all the time, this will be a short call, and guess what it ends up being? 57 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We made it, ladies and gentlemen. But one more would you rather.
Okay. One more. Would you rather drink a gallon of breast milk that your mom has been saving since you were an infant, or run into your in-laws at a swingers party?
I'm going with the breast milk.
I'm going to go with the breast milk, too.
I'm going to the swingers party, man.
No? Okay.
You know why? Because it's going to be just as awkward for my wife.
Okay, so we haven't talked about the charities. Would you like to do that?
I think at this point we've run through them quite a bit, but I'm just going to run through their names. I'm not going to tell you about them because we've done this enough. And if you haven't, go back and listen, but I will again. We have the Focus Marine Program, which a lot of people I've had on here already. We have the Semper Fi Fund. We have the Joshua Chamberlain Society. We have Warfighters Engaged. We have the Gary Sinise Foundation and Tunnels to Towers. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot more out there, and veterans out there, there's also a lot more. Do your research, do your homework, find the one that works for you, and find the one that you want to donate to. But make sure you do the research on all these organizations, because there's a lot out there now that are just willing to take your money. So make sure you do your research, your homework, and figure that out. And after that, we're going to let you guys go. You all have a great night, great evening, whatever it is. Great weekend coming up, because it's now Friday that this is dropping. So, hoorah, see you later. Brian, you got anything?
No, thank you for letting me participate.
Kyle?
I appreciate it.
I just want to say, don't forget to like, subscribe, emotional outbursts, that kind of stuff. We're on Instagram.
What are we on?
We are on Twitter, and we are on YouTube. All of it is at When Does the Fuckery End? Fuckery is FKRY.
Yes, ma'am, and ladies and gentlemen, and we are out.